I'd like to just start off by saying how happy I am to be back to Hope. It's great to see old friends. It's great to see new faces. This has been my first Hope, I think, since the pandemic. So it's nice to be back. And I'm also really excited to be a part of this presentation today. So Tesla Science Center, we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Our slides are called "The Future is Ours." And I'm just going to let Jeff do the quote on that one because he was really good. Explain why the future is ours.
Love it. It goes back to a lot of things for Tesla that still to this day just resonate and resound around the world. The quote of his was, no,
I know I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
I'm on the spot. I didn't expect to go first, but let the future evaluate each one according to his works and accomplishments. The present is theirs. The future, for which I have really worked, is mine. That was a direct quote from Nikola Tesla. I've said it a billion times, and I still always stumble on it just because it's pretty profound, you know? If you think here's a man who is just so far ahead of time, and he just knew that current generation just didn't get it, and you know what? He didn't care about it. He wasn't looking at their present. He was looking towards the future. He was looking towards our future and realizing, you know, what could be done and that he would be vindicated and the truths of his sciences would hold true. And so we're really grabbing onto that and trying to use that as our focal point to hack the future, you know, with the Tesla Science Center, because Lord knows we need it. You know, the world is in dire straits right now. This is the community of people that we really feel are most Tesla-minded, you know, the hacktivists out there, the tinkerers, all the thinkers of the world. You know, I'm really blessed to have been able to be part of this organization. I'm going to go a little more into when I talk. I have some pictures of just past events and my little history of building up with the, you know, everything. So I'll talk more about that later. But I've just been blessed to be doing exhibits and stuff for Tesla since 2013, maybe, you know, and I see the impact it has on the community. You know, you're out there at STEM events and you see these kids' eyes, it's like magic to them. It's like, I feel like a wizard. I'm just like, you know, you can't get me to stop when I'm doing the events because the energy back from the audience is just so palpable and just addicting, really. It's just, it's the greatest feeling. You know, you really feel like a showman. And then I stop and think to myself, this is what Tesla was doing also. He was doing demonstrations, large-scale demonstrations of all his equipment and apparatus, because community didn't get it. You know, it was still magic to them, and it's still magic to us today, which is great. You know, we have amazing advancements in technology, but the world at large isn't really thinking about it, you know? They're just using this magic black box, and they don't care about what's going on in that. And that's going to be a huge detriment to us unless we can grab the community, grab everyone, and get them thinking and innovating and, you know, just using their brain.
Well, I think you captured that perfectly. I'm going to just, let's see if this will work. I think I have to turn off the screensaver on my laptop.
There we go.
Yeah, she goes.
Thank you.
Magic.
See, nothing ever goes right for Tesla, you know?
So just to start, we're going to, I guess the clicker's not working. Just a quick introduction. So Ed, feel free to start off.
Hi, I'm Ed Wilson. I am the resident ham radio nerd for the Tesla Science Center. We're here at the Ham Radio Village as well. So if anybody's passed by and talked to me, you might have heard me talking for hours and hours and hours about my love of ham radio. And that's how I got involved with the Tesla Science Center. I met a new ham radio operator on the air, and I helped him out. And he's become a great friend of mine, Jeff. And Jeff introduced me to the Tesla Science Center, and I've jumped in.
But what was the connection? How did it start? We were, and it kind of goes into what I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but I'll just do it super, super quick. We were on a net. I had problems with my setup because it was really janky, and he stayed on after the net. You know, any questions, any problems? So I went in, we started talking, made contact, talking about Suffolk County Radio Club. So I sent him a very professional email, not from the Tesla Science Center, because I didn't want to lead with that, you know? And he writes...
I need to interrupt you first, because he had a really crappy signal, and I talked to you about your signal, and I was like, what is your setup? And he's like, I just have a mag mount antenna sitting on my end table. I said, all right, go in the kitchen, don't let UI see you, but go grab a cookie sheet and slap your antenna on the cookie sheet, and your signal's gonna work a lot better.
So it improved it. I've got a little bit better setup now. So, but sent him this email, professional just about Suffolk County Radio Club, and then he replies back, oh my God, I thought I knew you from somewhere. He had remembered me from one of the HOPE conferences, the HOPE 2020. That was my first talk where it was all virtual. And then so here's this amazing, great connection over the air, over electricity, just a single spark, a single connection that has spawned. Look at this, we're here today. Now he's the president of the Tesla Science Center Amateur Radio Club, and we're just building and growing on all these different facets, and it's all Tesla, man.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
There's only 4 members of the Tesla Science Radio Club because we're trying to get ourselves together, and 3 of the 4 members are in this room, 2 of them up here, and in the 3rd row we have Denise. So, but yeah, we're doing some awesome stuff with ham radio and the community. I'm proud to be a part of that, and I'm proud to be here for my 3rd part, partaking in the panel on Nikola Tesla. And I was just up here preparing, and I'm thinking, I'm like, my first time in this auditorium was probably about 1980. I grew up here on campus, and I watched the Muppet movie in this movie theater as a little 7 or 8-year-old. And this being here at St. John's is amazing because my first introduction to 2600 magazine was here on campus as well in the early 90s. So everything kind of comes full circle here. So I'm happy to be here.
So yeah, I kind of came to Tesla Science Center just in the last couple of years. I moved out to the North Shore area near Shoreham, New York, and I was shocked to learn I literally lived like a 8-minute drive away from Nikola Tesla's laboratory, which I had heard about from the internet back in 2012. And of course, the Oatmeal webcomic and the Let's Build a Goddamn Tesla Lab and the historic crowdfunding that happened with that at Indiegogo at the time. But I am by nature a community organizer. I'm a person who wants to see science. I want to see hackerspaces. I've participated in these things, since I moved to New York. I'm an engineer. I went to WPI, so I'm kind of like all about, there's historic tradition in all of these things. And it's so amazing how you can almost always trace it back to Nikola Tesla. He really defined our modern world. So it's like, for me, it just feels like I'm in the right place, and this confluence, this perfect storm of things has happened, to put me here to help make things happen for the Science Center. Could we have the next slide, or is this going to work? Oh, it's not on. It wasn't turned on.
No, I don't know if the clicker.
There we go. No, it worked.
Okay.
So just a little bit of background. If you've ever heard of Nikola Tesla, or you have no idea what we're talking about regarding his laboratory, just some quick facts. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, reading through everything. We'll just, I'm not a person who reads slides, but we put all the information up there so people could have it. In short, really everything in this room, everything that we use all day, every day, comes from Nikola Tesla. He predicted smartphones. He predicted the internet. He created our system of power transmission. He discovered many things and was never credited for them, just because he was doing so much and so many different things and exploring in so many different areas that other people, like for example, Rontgen, who is credited with discovering X-rays, Tesla sent him X-ray photographs after Rontgen published his papers. So Tesla was already creating what he called shadow graphs. So it's just incredible to think that here's this person. Why are we not hearing about him? Why are we not talking about him every day? Or why is it Con Edison, right? Why are we not having Tesla, better represented? And now we have the Tesla vehicle, but that's even worse of a problem because when the founders of Tesla named it after him, they were, of course, engineers. They revered Tesla. Nobody else knew about it. Now the first thing anyone thinks about is a car. Or, the companies that I say to them, I work at Tesla Science Center. I actually have to say I work at Nikola Tesla's lab first. And then they say, they're like, well, is that related to the car? So it's always, it always comes back to that. So it really speaks to how people can be erased, over time if they don't follow the narrative that everyone else wants to be created. So why are we doing all this, and what's so important about Tesla Science Center really is that we're here to change education, to make things more holistic, to really capture the spirit of Nikola Tesla in all of his explorations, in all of his work and his legacy, and bring it forward to today. We need to revitalize everything. Our education systems are not working. Our STEAM education is not working. So we're going to try a different way. We're going to try to do things in a very unique and innovative, hands-on approach. One of the things I learned when I went to Worcester Polytechnic Institute, they have a very unique educational curriculum. They run on quartermesters, so we are working in very accelerated and very intense classroom environments, and everything is a hands-on project. Everything is project-based. From the minute you walk in the door, you're working with a team, and you are learning through practical application. So this, I think, is like the true path of engineering, and one of the things that I hope to bring to core programming at Tesla Science Center. And here's an example of one of those programs, something that we launched last year, and something that I have a background in or had worked in previously. We founded Space Apps NYC in 2012, myself and others, to be part of NASA's hackathon. And it's something I've spoken on at other events. I've spoken on this at camp in Germany, and just that space is such an exciting thing right now. And technology-wise, science-wise, we're discovering so much every day. Space exploration is one of the coolest things ever. It's completely heartbreaking to see how NASA is being gutted like a fish when everything that they've done has been given away freely. Free data, free open source software for the world. It's one of the only government programs in this country that actually gives everything away for free to the world. You can use NASA imagery and data for any purpose, including commercial. If that's not open source, open science, open data, I don't know what is. So this was a fantastic event. We ran it at Zebra Technologies, one of our annual partners at the Science Center. It was 42 high school students. In fact, I'll just go on to the, sorry. So I put this in last night. Why space, right? Nikola Tesla, he was an electricity guy. It doesn't make sense to do space science, right? Wrong. Nikola Tesla was all about flight. And his earliest childhood days, and one of his last patents, in fact, was for vertical takeoff and lift. He was trying to design flying machines. He tried to create a vacuum-based engine that would be a flying device as a child. In fact, when he was 17 years old, now this is a picture of him at like age 23, but when he was 17, he envisioned orbital rings built around the Earth so that people could travel up to them via space elevator, sit on the ring, let the Earth rotate below them, and then go back down again. And having traveled, he was already visualizing these things in his mind at that time about outer space. Even really like the invention of the polyphase induction motor, it could be credited to his thought of flying around the Earth, or the sun revolving around the Earth, and thinking about how a polyphase electrical motor spins and how an orbit works around the Earth. Like all of these analogies were working through his head. So there's that. In 1898, he built the first robotic drone, radio remote controlled device to sail in waters. We are using Curiosity rover on Mars today. So we wouldn't have, he pioneered all of these technologies, robotic remote control exploration devices. And then, of course, in 1900, when he started his wireless energy transmission experiments in Colorado Springs, he very well may have been the first radio astronomer, perhaps getting signals from space, from interstellar clouds of dust and gas. And that's a picture of his Colorado Springs laboratory, which also, of course, was demolished and destroyed.
Quick interesting fact about that, he wasn't sure what he was receiving. He knew it was coming from outer space. He wasn't sure if it was from an intelligent species or something, but he thought it was because it was coming in pulses that he could define and actually get. the media lambasted him for it. Oh, Tesla's talking to Mars and blah, 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 blah. Really ridiculed him and started that moniker of, the mad scientist, whereas years later, when it did come to fruition, then they were actually taking it seriously. Like, oh, yeah, actually, we're getting signals from whatever different parts. But I just thought interesting the negative aspect put on him when he was right all along.
And again, like corporate controlled media, right? JP Morgan, all these other folks, Edison fighting against him. I mean, these were PR wars. This was propaganda. Like he was being decried as a mad scientist for saying these exact things when years later, Edison and Marconi were both saying, oh no, there's signals coming from space, right? So when they say it, it was good. But when he said it, he became a mad scientist.
Thank God we don't have those problems today with the media, right? Everything's good.
But even being portrayed as a mad scientist, like that shows his cultural impact, right? We think of Jacob's ladders in the movie Frankenstein. Guess what? That was what Tesla was doing and on his tours when he would show his technologies, and when he lit the Chicago World's Fair with George Westinghouse, that inspired L. Frank Baum to write about the Emerald City in The Wizard of Oz. And H.G. Wells was inspired by Tesla talking about signals from Mars. So this man was a massive cultural icon, as well as being technologically influential.
Wireless technology.
Thank you, Tesla.
I didn't replace the batteries. I'm sorry.
So this is showing last year's space science program that we ran at the Science Center. We did have 42 high school students participate, almost half. We're going to work towards improving that goal. We're running the program again this year and expanding it. So last year we were grant funded to only be for high school students. We had 2 sessions on 2 Saturdays in September, and then had the Space Apps Challenge at Zebra for Space Apps Brookhaven. That's like there's actually 4 sites in New York this year for Space Apps if you're interested in becoming a space hacker. There's Space Apps NYC, there's Space Apps Yonkers, there's Space Apps Long Beach for Nassau, and there's Space Apps Brookhaven for Suffolk County. But you can see the numbers for yourself. We're expanding space science in Space Hack to 4 Saturdays, all 4 Saturdays in September. That's starting right now. By tomorrow, the registration links will be up if you know any high school or college students. We're not limited in high school student participation this year, but we're going to be talking about radio. That's going to be one of our classes. We're going to talk about astronavigation and teach the students how to use science visualization software for planetariums. We're going to be teaching them about data, and we're going to be teaching them a 1-day coding workshop class from a holistic approach, starting with computer architecture. So that's our space science program. And Ed, do you want to talk any more about like what we want to do with? I know you haven't seen the slide, so when do you want to kind of interject stuff about the radio club?
College by winging it. Yeah, we can.
Because I'll just launch into the video next. But if you want to talk about, we're talking about education.
Just a couple of quick things. One of the things that I'm going to do once we have our visitor center open, which should be hopefully sometime next year, which I've been saying for the last 4 or 5 years, but it's happening.
Hey, you stole my line.
Yeah,
I was going to use that.
We're going to have a visitor center sometime next year, and we're going to have an active amateur radio station, ham radio station in it, and we're going to have some meeting space so we can explore building a community on Long Island with some hacker and maker spaces and radio people and some volunteer groups from within the community can all get together and help bring other people into the community. We'll learn a little bit more about wireless technology and the awesome white hat hacker that Nikola Tesla was. So, wait, can I interrupt you one more second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So about 3 years ago, so 2 hopes ago, we were here and we were talking to Emmanuel and we were talking about the relationship of the Tesla Science Center and Hope and 2600 Magazine. And at some point in the very near future, we're looking to, and Jeff and I have spoken about this, I don't think we've brought you into the loop on this, Mike, but at some point during one of the Hope conferences in the very near future, we're hoping to have a bus trip out of here on Thursday prior to Hope, going out to the Science Center, getting a tour of the center, and having lunch and getting back here and doing all sorts of cool things. So,
You know, it's been very difficult. We've had the property since 2013. I'll just be super quick on this one. We have no buildings that are open and accessible still. And fire rocked us, set us back even further. We've been towing the line of we'll have a visitor center next year since I've been towing it since 2013. But it really, things are lining up. And you know what? Everything happens for a reason, everything in its right time and due season. And I think that time for us is now. Everything's just progressing in just astounding ways. This last birthday expo blew my mind, totally blew my mind. I was stuck at my table the whole time. There were so many people that I didn't even get to experience it. I watched the video. I'm like, oh my God, we had that. Oh my God, we had that. It was just nuts. So
yeah, it's really exciting that we are breaking ground on the visitor center finally. So next year there will be more grounds that are going to be open. There's going to be a full visitor center that we'll be holding classes in. We'll have a small exhibit in. It will be open to the public. The Science Center will be open to the public next spring. That is in stone. So.
And that is the if you build it, they will come moment for us that I've been just waiting and dreaming and praying for even before I got involved with the organization. I'll explain a little bit of that when I chat, but definitely.
Well, yeah, so we'll show the video for the expo. So this every year on Tesla's birthday, we have the Nikola Tesla Expo, which is a showcase of technologies, history, all related back to his legacy at the laboratory. And the last 2 years, we've had a drone show. So I'm just going to play the video. We had 2,400 attendees this year, which was magical. It was wild. So you'll see that in the video next.
I want to thank everyone that came here today for the Nikola Tesla Expo.
Our way of celebrating the wonderful things that Tesla has brought to the world and sharing it with as many people as can join us.
A nice fundraiser and activity for the community to support the Tesla Science Center.
Why are we here? Because this is hallowed ground. The historic tower base that Nikola Tesla built along with his friend, famed architect, Stanford White.
This facility being the last real Tesla site in the world, I think it's just so important for the technology and the man.
The Tesla Center means to me an opportunity for learning, for inquiry, for creativity.
What's happening here today is magic. The people who run the Tesla Science Center are very interested in energizing our youth.
We can create a science center where young people come and get inspired.
As a Long Island attraction, this is just a major thing.
Kids can walk up, look at amazing technologies and history.
Funding the Science Center is really going to be key, because if you take a look at the 5,000 people that are here today, think about what they would get if they could actually look at a Science Center and look at the details, look at what it was that Nikola Tesla did, learn that much more about him. The last thing you want is his history to be lost.
Our mission is a global mission.
That's something that we really need more of in this world, is that we work together and that we can create good for all of us.
Nikola Tesla was a global figure. He was a lover of humanity. He knew that his inventions would change our lives. As much as it mattered to the local community and the Long Island community, the world saved this location. I think we'd be standing here looking at the finishing touches on the lab if that fire didn't happen in November of 2023. The fire added an additional $3.5 million of cost. We now have to raise another $10 million. It's imperative to make sure that we at least complete the exterior of the lab building before the end of the year. We're going to continue to raise funding.
When I look around and I see all the people here, I have great hope.
Funding this is really important in many ways.
community members that want to help with the mission,
Donate through our website,
Go to TeslaScienceCenter.org.
as well as our Facebook page and other social media. Give us a call, send us a message, get in touch with me. I'll be happy to help you.
Can we all hold our thoughts here? Can we just do a quick introduction of who Jane is real quick?
Oh my God, that's Jane Alcorn. She is amazing. She is the woman who's been at the forefront of the Tesla Science Center for decades. She's been trying to save that property since, I don't even remember exactly when, but well before we've had the property. So many different things have fallen through the cracks of them potentially getting it or getting a part of it, or just, and it always just fell through, until that chance encounter with Matt Inman and Operation Let's Build a Goddamn Tesla Museum. And here we are, just making it happen. And it's just super.
She's been at it for 30 years. Literally.
Can we just add in how, when you meet her, what you have to do when you meet her?
Hug her?
The shaking, or the shaking of the hand and hugging her?
Yeah.
Why?
She is a hugger. She's a wonderful. She was my entry into the Science Center too, because I was looking for. I wanted to get involved in the community. I knew that this is a science corridor. I saw, and I was fascinated by Tesla. I wanted to be involved with the Science Center, so I went to a film screening at the Cinema Arts Center in Huntington, and she was there. I just said, "Hey, can I help? I want to do hackathons. I want to bring space science to Tesla Science Center." And she said, "Okay, let me get you in touch with the right people." And here we are.
But let's go back a little bit. But she wants to shake your hand or hug you because she had the privilege of meeting Nikola Tesla's.
Oh, William.
You know the story better than I.
Goodness gracious. So William Turbo, and I'm going to actually talk about it a little bit. He passed away, rest his soul, in 2018. He was the last living relative of Nikola Tesla's, his great grandnephew or something like that.
Who had met him?
He had actually met him when he was 8 years old at the New Yorker Hotel. So he actually remembered specific things about the room set up that nobody had known, just from firsthand experience, William Turbo. And he was instrumental. He was a Tesla Science, I forget. He had his own organization where for years he was trying to champion and keep Tesla's name around, because he was written out of the textbooks truly until Tesla Motors, kind of, and that at least started getting the name back into the media, for better or for worse on that. But so she had met him, and just to be able to touch him. And when I first met him, it was like, oh my God, that's Tesla DNA, right in front of me, the real deal. Like, he is a real boy. And so to me, even just shaking his hand was just amazing.
Does anyone still need the information up here? Take a quick picture. I'm just going to switch off back to the slides. And we do have socials. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us in a number of different areas. So you'll see that video will be on our YouTube and across a bunch of different other platforms. So back to programs. The way we see it, there are needs across the board. We need to increase scientific literacy with public educational events. We need to improve classroom instruction and supplement the education that K through 12 is getting with more access to technology, engineering, and science, and professional entrepreneurial development. Workforce development, people who need skills, who need to transition into our current and future technologies. I swear I can't use that thing.
I think the batteries finally gave up the ghost. If we had wireless technology from Tesla.
I'm going to drive from the podium.
Yeah, that might be the
Left
safest
turn.
bet. Yeah, these
So
AAAs
while
are
they're fixing
toast.
this, if anybody has any other questions later on, we'll be at the Ham Radio Village. If you want to stop by and say hello, and we'll talk a little bit more about Nikola Tesla, feel free. We're right across from registration.
Yeah, and I'm not going to read these slides again. This is just some ideas and examples, showing the things we're aiming for the future. We've created a 5-year plan for core programming. It kicks off when the Science Center is officially open. But we're still doing other programs, like we are doing the Space Hack. We're doing the Space Apps Brookhaven. We will be doing other events, but there will be a very large event when we actually open in the spring next year. So you can just advance to the next slide and the next one. So just examples again. These slides will be made available. But this is a great slide to look at. You know, we have expanded so many partnerships in the last couple of years. You know, we've probably doubled the number of logos on this list, and we're going to grow more. You know, we have really wonderful relationships that we've opened up with Brookhaven National Labs. You know, we have a lot of people, and we have a lot of puzzle pieces, and we just have to fit them together. You know, and that's what we're doing. Having Space Force on board this year was fantastic. They are also going to be a part of our space science programming this year. So there will at least be 1 or 2 sessions where a Guardian or Space Force folks. In fact, the person you saw in that video was retired Colonel Sean Barnes. He's an LIU graduate. He stood up Space Force in 2019. And his talk at the expo was really fantastic. I mean, it is so vital what we need to have for security in space, not just from, you know, other nation states, but just in general, like from nature. You know, the sun is an incredibly powerful thing, and it will drag our satellites down into our atmosphere. And, you know, we need to be able to respond to, I mean, you know, Tesla's blessings could also be a curse for us, because we have gone and turned the world into a place wrapped with wires. And if we get a really bad solar event, it will destroy everything. So we have to have defense for these things, from space weather and related stuff. So, you know, it's wonderful to see all this happening. And I think at this point, like Jeff was saying, it's just a matter of time. The perfect storm is coming together, and the lightning will strike. So next slide is take another picture here. We want to invite everyone to join us. Please, we need technical people. We need volunteers. We need engineers. We need scientists. We need ham operators. We need educators. We need anyone who can do anything in the space of any background, any, you know, diversity of thought, diversity of action. We are having a picnic on Saturday. Please come. All you have to do is register to become a volunteer. There is no commitment. We just want to build our community. And if you scan the first QR code, sign up, scan the second QR code, and just RSVP, and we'll have burgers, dogs, vegetable skewers. It is also a potluck if you want to bring your favorite dish. But please come. We would love to have you.
It's right on the property. If you've never been there, perfect time to come down and check it out. You know, because we're not normally open. Like I said, we don't have any open buildings, so the site's usually locked up, except for special events or private tours or anything like that. So definitely an awesome time to get down there before our next events. Yeah, so I'm going to jump in. Let me do a quick switch.
Grab a snapshot of, oops.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. If you didn't grab a snapshot, we'll hook you up afterwards.
How many people in the room are local to New York City, Long Island? Quite a few, yeah. So come on down on Saturday. We'll get a behind-the-scenes look about what's going on there on our campus. It's a really magical place to be. You can feel the energy as soon as you step foot in there.
So I have a question online, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Glad to hear about the visitor center. Are there any drawings, plans online to see what it's expected to look like? And how firm is the date for next year's opening?
I do believe if you go to tscw.org, that's the short version of teslasciencecenter.org. On that website, there should be either press releases, which have visualizations of the Science Center, and just general conceptions. I mean, the site is actually a fantastic site. There's lots of information there. And of course, you know, other ways to get involved. The property is actually, one of the reasons why we can do this is because it's technically on a separate parcel of land. It is certified for occupancy. The lab itself, and you know, it's just, obviously it's been burned, but also it had asbestos, it had black mold. Like it couldn't be. We don't have any CO for that. We do also have a CO for the water treatment plant, which we're hoping to turn into a hackerspace in the future. So just go ahead and visit the site. You'll find a lot of information there.
So don't want to drone on too long. I got a bunch of pictures and stuff. I just want to kind of go over the history of what I've been doing and parlay that into kind of what Michael's been trying to set up with our volunteer docent program, which was pretty awesome. I didn't even know what docent meant. So I'm like, donut? Dos Equis? What are we talking about? I had to Google it to see what it is, but really fits the bill. Docent's a trained volunteer who acts in a scientific capacity for academies and museums and acts as a storyteller. So just kind of what I've been doing for many, many years. You know, I've been huge fan of 2600 since at least 95. I think 1995 is when I first started going to the meetups in the city. I missed the first Hope in 94. When the second one came out, Beyond Hope, I couldn't make it, which started a whole slew of silly events where I missed every single one after that until, what was that? I think 26, no, I don't even remember which one, but I'm an extroverted introvert, so I'd make up excuses with my hacker buddies to not go. So I just didn't go, and life took over. And fast forward, you know, all the way to 2011. You know, one thing that is just amazing me, trying to bring all this together, is how like one single spark, one connection can change the world. It really could, you know, and that spark for me was an old boss of mine, John Campagna. He knew my love and at that time I was really bad about Tesla. It was almost very cultish. I've toned it down a little bit, but just a little. He knew my love for it. So he reached out to me and he's like, yo, there's this conference going on in 2011, or in 2011, at I forget the name of the hotel. I think it's on there, but I didn't know about the Tesla Science Center at that time. And that's Jane Alcorn, you know, and a whole group of folks. They've already been established for a while. So I went to the conference and I just latched onto them like a tick, you know, because here was this structured organization that was really trying to make it a reality of saving his property and even just bringing his name. It was my people. It was almost like when I first met all of my hacker buddies, you know, it was these like-minded people who were always out there, but I had no connection to them until one spark brought us together. And then, so when I found out about this, I called Jane Alcorn. I left her the craziest voicemail ever because I was just so excited. I hung up and I'm like, I'm an idiot. What did I do? I just completely destroyed my chances. She called me back and we must have spent 2 hours on the phone. I was just walking around the neighborhood talking to her, just our love of Tesla and pinging back and forth. And so I went to the conference and then I met Bill Turbo, you know, at the time, you know, the last living relative of Tesla, just in the flesh there. So then I just wanted to do whatever I could for them. Things staled until 2013, you know, when we had the crowdfunding campaign, we were able to buy the property. And so I started going out, even before we got the property, local, really small events, just little tables, just, you know, handing out flyers for the Tesla Science Center. Let me see if... That is me at the conference. The only reason I'm showing it because I hate this picture. If you used to Google my name and Tesla, that would be the first hit. And I loved that I was the first hit and I hated it, but I'm embracing it now. Yes, you can gauge it by the length of my beard. Let me stand up so you can see it stopped growing since, but just to gauge it from there. So that one spark brought me here, got me on the air. Behind me is Joe Sikorsky, Fragments from Olympus. My first time meeting him. Another like-minded individual. He's done a few different documentaries on Tesla over time, and then started just doing what I could to help with the organization, and love this one. So 2013, when we finally bought the property, as we were going through it, we found this beautiful mural inside one of the warehouses that someone had done of Nikola Tesla, you know, holding these two spherical balls. And now the crazy link to that is the artist Dezen. I wound up connecting with him later on at one of the birthday expos. An individual was telling me the story about, oh, you know, my buddy and I, we came on the property at night with our phone flashlights, and they sat there and they tagged that up. And I'm like, I grabbed my phone. I'm like, you guys did this? And they were just so excited. And so I was just, I'm getting a little emotional about it. The board, Jane Alcorn and everybody, they loved it. They loved it. They embraced it. And here was just something, this graffiti, guerrilla art, and, but they were embracing it. They weren't seeing it like when they were told about it. Their first thing wasn't like, oh, somebody was on the property and vandalized and blah, blah. They saw the beauty in it, and to think that was able to connect with that artist later on at one of the birthday expos. And he didn't respond to us for a couple months because he thought we were trying to set him up, and catch him for breaking in the property. We're like, dude, we love it. Trust me. Don't worry about it. So then I started going out to the events. This was one of the first Port Jeff Maker Fairs, which then leads us to another amazing spark, another amazing connection. So I hadn't done anything with 2600. I'd barely read the magazines, since that time. Life took over, wife, kids, as things happen. So I'm at Port Jeff Maker Fair one day, and I look over, and who's walking by? Emmanuel and Kyle. And I start fanboying out. I'm talking with the Brookhaven Lab people, and she's like, oh, wait, let me introduce you. And she just blew up my spot. She's like, oh, that's the Tesla guy over there, Tesla Science. And I saw Emmanuel's eyes kind of light up, and I'm like, I got him. I got him. I can make a connection here. And we start talking Hope, and then I'm joking about, it's my tradition to not go to Hope, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you should come down. He says, what if, you have your table there? We would love to have you in. And then here I am, just amazed by it. And then I went back to the board, and I wasn't sure how they were going to take it, because I'm like, there's this conference, Hope, and then one of them asked, like, oh, Hope, what does that stand for? I'm like, well, hackers on planet Earth. And like, oh, isn't that a pretty bad connotation? Is that who we want to be involved with? I'm like, these are exactly the people you want to be involved with. These are the Teslas of the future. These are the innovators, the ones who are really out there. There are peoples. So I tried to start doing every event that I could. Started handing out lots of Tesla money, of course, which some of you may have gotten over the years in the original bank wrappers from Yugoslavia. You used to be able to get them a lot cheaper back then. And then Hotel Pennsylvania. So that was, what year was that? I don't even remember, my brain's fried, but whatever. That was my first Hope that I ever got to, the 11th Hope. That was 20, I don't even remember, but it's okay. And then, so that was my first table at the Tesla Science Center. So the reason I'm showing you the table is for the docent program. What we really want to do is we want to train individuals, for you guys to go out there and do these tables also. Only one person can do so much and have so much bandwidth. And then if we can get other people out there and inspire them, all these little sparks that I've made have just been coming to fruition and really just pretty astounding and amazing and beautiful, seeing all of this come together just from all these little sparks, all drawn back to Tesla. Hack the Planet, of course. So just a couple of little slides from that event. That's how I knew I loved these people. It was a car boot from the lockpicking village. I'm like, you people are awesome. They're showing you how to break into a boot for the car. And I was just blown away by it. And I even ran into an old hacker buddy from the meets, from the old New York City meets that I hadn't seen since '95. We were both telling stories. 5 minutes, yeah. So let me, I might have to jump up there really quick. So I don't know, or do you want to slide over for me? And then we'll shoot through them super, super, super fast. Kind of just showing the overviews. You can go on that one, switch. That was just a really cool thing that Emmanuel, and there's me carrying all my gear and stuff, trudging through, without a good, clear plan or setup, so doing that for all these years has just really worn on me and just gotten so difficult. That's why I feel bad. We don't have a table today for this Hope, so I was a little bummed about that. But again, just logistics and timing, and you can go to the next one. There's my kiddos. You guys were amazing at the first Hope. The donations that came in for us, they had such fun just sorting the money and everything like that. You guys got them jazzed up, and that really shone through when I went back to the board, and they just saw, wow, this community is amazing. And that awesome gentleman right there, met him at the first event, Dr. Polymer, and have been seeing him at every single one. It's just been, again, this amazing spark. He offered to watch the table, so I could just take a breather. It was a 3-day conference, and the first day I was there from 10 to 11 p.m. because the vendors was open, so I'm going to hold down the fort. You can go to the next one, brother. And then, so one of our birthday expos, you can go on the next one. Bill Turbo. Like I said, he was huge with us. You can keep going. And then that was, so just go to show. I'm jambling it up all right now because we're running out of time, but we've been busy. We've been doing as much as we can. All these events that we've had without even a full functional property or a headquarters to really work out of. You can go to the next one. So some of our Tesla coils on display. That one was one donated. Quarter scale of the Griffith Observatory. We have that. That's ours. You can go to the next one. So just a couple pictures of some of the volunteers helping out in the water treatment plant. We've been active for back then, cleaning up the property and doing just what we can. The core volunteers that we have are amazing, but we need more help. You can go next. You can do next. Next. And then up to our next hope. You can go next. And then what was awesome about that hope also was we did a little cross promotion with 2600 that time for our birthday expo. So if you go to the next slide, you might see it. There's my kiddos there. You can go to the next slide. Next slide. To be sponsored by 2600 doing my thing was just, again, this full circle, awesomeness. And to be doing it at Tesla's property, is just fantastic. You can go next. Just again, just set up showing just all the stuff, the heart and soul that we put into it, trying to make these events and these exhibits happen, bring it to the people. You can go next. I added too much into this. There you are. Yeah! Dr. Polymer helping me out. Next. Yeah. You could just keep another one of Chris Wesselberg. But just really what just trying to show is we're really just trying to build up a core group of people to help us get out there. My littlest one. An event that we did out in Oakland, which was another amazing spark connection type thing, because then that brought us to Greg Lay. Was that his name with the 40-foot Tesla coil?
I don't recall.
So Lightning on Demand. We had at one of our birthday expos a 40-foot Tesla coil, and I met him, and we made the spark connection from there all the way in California. And so he's been a huge supporter of us now back at the Port Jeff Maker Fair. You can go next. During COVID, you can't see it too well. That's Michael Almereda and Ethan Hawke. We had a movie night drive-in on the property where we were filming the Tesla movie with Ethan Hawke. Next. So you know what we can do is we'll just stop with the pictures there, Daniel, because they were just going through the pictures just brought back such a flood of memories of just how awesome this community has been, and we want to take it and just move that forward and just build something awesome, and that's going to start with you guys. And once that visitor center is open, that'll be it, and that's our dream, man. That's really our dream,
Take questions.
Yeah, take questions while we have a little bit of time.
Anybody, 1 or 2 quick questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Very inspiring. I know everybody hates to talk about politics, but in today's reality, have you had to modify your programs in any way? Not so much like outwardly political, but educating people. Obviously, a lot of the donors you have are government agencies, and maybe trying to explain to people that government does have a role in supporting science and education, et cetera?
I think Michael can speak to that. But what I've seen is we've been trying to remain neutral in a sense, as everything is. Even with Tesla as a whole, we try to stick to the factual based stuff of what we know about him. We can go on tangents of all the wild esoteric things that he's known of, but we try to stay to the facts with it. So we're just in a really weird time right now, with information and the way the government is, the way everything is. But
We're fortunate that we don't have any reliance on government programs right now. The IMLS, the Institution for Museums, Libraries, That cut was devastating. There are museums closing all over the country right now, and it is wrong. I'll just say that. That's my own opinion. Doesn't represent the Science Center. I do believe it's wrong. Yeah.
That's why even with the defunding of all these programs, we need to be that step up. We have to prop up the community and be able to inspire and educate the kids, because otherwise this programming that's coming down, it's not inspiring and it's not educating. It's leading in a certain way. And again, that's my viewpoint for it. But
Well, thank you,
I
everyone.
think that's it. If anybody wants to chat some more, we'll be at Ham Radio Village across from registration.
hack the planet.
Thank you. Thank you.